Oh, man, I did it again, didn't I? That must have been an echoey mess on the way in, huh? Sorry about that, guys. I had another line that I usually should be muting, but I forgot all about it. Jeez, I tell you, it's like a rookie show up in here most of the time, but hope you guys are doing great. Thanks for coming in. This is the Paranormal Portal, and these are Night Terrors. These are shorter episodes, about 1 hour, and we cover lots of strangeness. Tonight we're doing the strange phenomena, and then towards the end of the show, of course, we'll get into the trail cam terrors. And I got an interesting video pulled up for you guys to check out. I think it should be good. I haven't seen it. I didn't watch it. I'm gonna premiere it right here. Speaking of premiering, of course, those of you that follow our podcast, this is a very special announcement that we did a bonus podcast this week, and I just released it this afternoon. And what it is, it's an interview that Don and I were able to sit down with the godfather of the Bigfoot movement himself, Mr. Bob Gimlin, and we did an interview, and that is available audio only on all of the podcast stations. So Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Castbox, and a bunch more. Someday I'll pull up the whole list and try to figure out exactly where we are. But I know I've looked at the list before and I was like, wow, never even heard of that podcast player. There's a lot of them out there, ladies and gentlemen, and we're supposed to be on them. So that's where we are, and hope you guys will check it out. It was a rare thing for Bob to sit down and do interviews, and it was a really cool, awesome opportunity for Don and I to have a talk with the man, and he's just an incredible guy. It's just was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of great information, not only about the Patterson-Gimlin film, of course, which is a big thing, but also about the man's life and his surprising friendship with an American icon. And who that is, you'll have to watch the podcast and find out. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but it's somebody that I'm sure all of you will at least know about, and many of you, it'll be like, whoa, they were friends? Yeah, they were. Who is it? Have to listen to find out. But anyway, that's out there, so check it out. We would love to hear your feedback on it as well, of course. It was an amazing opportunity, amazing episode, and hopefully you guys like it. So, anyway, tonight, of course, is the Night Terrors, and the phone lines will be open, and the number for the show, if you want to call in, you got something paranormal you want to share, then call in 720-923-0500, and that would be fantastic to hear from you. If you want to call in and talk about something you've experienced, I'll be here waiting, and I'll be doing my best to watch as well. And again, if you're in the chat room and you want to make a statement for me to see, please at least put the @ sign and put Paranormal Portal after it, and then it should frame it in this big orange block, which is pretty easy for me to differentiate from all the colors and things going on my screen. So I hope you'll do that, because I love hearing from you guys. And I don't ever mean to exclude anyone from the conversation. So if you got something to say, say it. If you don't want to call in, you don't want to spout it out in chat, but you still want to share something with me, you can always email me. And the email address for the show is paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Did I give out the phone number? 720-923-0500. It's right up there. If you remember or didn't write it down, it's right up there. So you can find it whenever you're looking. All right, so I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are now live and underway here on the Paranormal Portal. And I guess I should just tell you, we're going to be revisiting that Fact and Nate article that we started. Well, we started on several episodes before, but we talked about it last night. And we're going to continue down the road on this list. It's a huge article. And basically they aggregate a lot of things from Reddit groups and stuff. So we're going to continue reading it. And it's from factinate.com, factinate.com. And the article is Unsettling Experiences. So I hope you guys will enjoy the rest of these unsettling experiences, because a lot of them have been really profound. And some of them, Don and I were just talking last night, there's some that we've heard before, at least one of them that we covered last night that's like, wait a minute, I know we've read this on another show, and that happens. So if we get redundancies, it's not for lack of trying. It's just part of the reality of the situation is a lot of articles copy the same materials. So, all right. But anyway, this is from factinate.com, and it deals with lots of the strangeness out there. So let's see what's going on. We're on number 30. Sleep paralysis meets lucid dreaming. Sounds good. Sounds like one of those old B movies from the 50s, right? Like Frankenstein meets the Mothman and, things like that. Or Frankenstein meets the werewolf or whatever. But anyway, let's read this story and see what it says. It says, when I was around 7 or 8, I had pretty bad sleep paralysis. And one night I went to bed in the middle of the night. I began having what I thought was an episode. However, it was absolutely evident that the shadow of an adult figure was sitting on the edge of my bed. I know this is a common misconception among sleep paralysis crowd, but because your mind is going into self-defense due to the nature of your current situation, and you begin to see and hear things, but what freaks me out about that night is what happened next. I then fell asleep and dreamt that I was in that exact situation again, and I was able to move this time. I was able to project my voice, and I completely lost it. Started throwing everything about the room, kicking and screaming. Then the shadow got up, opened the door, and left. When I woke up in the morning, my blood ran cold. My room was a mess. The covers were on the floor, and my bedroom door was open. And normally I couldn't sleep with the door open because it freaked me out. There was something about that dream that always felt so real, 20 plus years ago now, and it's as fresh in my mind as it was then. That's wild. So you got to wonder, did this person actually literally project their essence out and do it, or did they fall asleep and were sleepwalking reenacting this? I don't know. That's a tough one, but yeah, that's creepy. It's really, really bizarre. I don't think I've ever heard of a situation where somebody projected and destroyed their own room, but maybe that's possible. I don't know. All right. The next one is 31, a nightly visitor. Who did that last one, by the way? It just says permalink. So we don't know who the author of that story was, but 31 is a nightly visitor. About 10 years ago, I was sitting in my room when I heard my doorknob slowly turning. I thought it was my dad seeing if I was napping, and he was trying to be quiet. And I watched the knob turn and heard the springs in the mechanism squeaking, and then the sound of the latch slide off the metal plate as it was pushed open a bit. I sat up to greet my dad and ask what he needed, except I didn't see anyone. Then the door moved like it was pushed again, and it opened a little more. Through the door, I clearly saw my dad in the living room sitting on the couch. I just couldn't explain it. The door was shut all the way and latched properly. To make things worse, I also frequently saw a shadow figure peer around my door frame. The figure was about 6 feet tall, solid black, and the side it peeked from was about 3 inches from the door frame to the wall. No one could fit in there. And it would just stare at me in my bed. The figure would also keep leaning in and out of view. I don't know. That's the weird part. What are they doing? What are they there for? What is the purpose of that visit? Did it know the person was awake watching it, and so it was trying to freak him out, or was it like is that sleeping? Is that kid sleeping? I don't know. That's very strange. Not good though. I don't know. Things peeking around your door frame that gets into creepy, and I don't think that's just a friendly presence. I think that's a creepy thing to do. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't like that personally, but maybe I'm just a little old fashioned. Anyway, number 32 is Between Two Fires. Way back when, Grandpa and Grandma were driving through Pennsylvania to an old family farm, and Grandpa was a city kid and had visited the farm every summer for years as he was growing up, and it was around 25 years since he had been, but he loved that farm and wanted to introduce Grandma to his cousins and show her around the farm. Well, as they drove closer to the farm, Grandpa began to tell Grandma about the little town that was on the road on the way to the farm, and soon they reached the little town. Grandpa was amazed that it hadn't changed a bit. Towards the end of town, they saw a hotel that was on fire. The road was blocked by firemen using an old-fashioned fire wagon with a water tank pulled by horses. What? Yeah, that's probably not a real quick way to get a fire out. They thought it was strange, but they chalked it up as being in rural Pennsylvania, and eventually the water wagon moved and they could drive on. They reached the farm, and after greeting Grandpa's uncle and cousins, they shared the news about the fire at the hotel. Grandpa suggested that they all go down and see if they could help. The relatives looked shaken, and that's when one of the cousins explained that there was no town, not anymore. About 20 years before, the hotel burned down, and the fire spread to most of the small town's main street. After their businesses were lost, people just left the town. In fact, the uncle and cousins were the last people living in the area. Grandpa and Grandma couldn't believe it. They'd just seen the town, the fire, even smelled the smoke. Grandpa, Grandma, and some cousins got in the car and drove back to town, going back the same way they had come. And the town was gone. Just some burnt-out shells of a few buildings remained. And that was by Leah Pett. That's really wild. So that's a time slip. That's got to be a time slip right there, right? Wow. That definitely qualifies as strange phenomena. That's really incredible. It doesn't, here's the weird part. So if it's a time slip, I imagine that Grandpa and Grandma were driving an automobile as they drove to this farm. But were there automobiles when they first went? I don't know. Is this a horse-drawn carriage days kind of thing, or what's going on? That's very strange. Maybe the cars were very different. I don't know. That's a weird story. All right, slinking around. Who wrote that one, by the way? Oh, yeah, Leah Pett. That's what I said. All right, number 33 is slinking around. When I was a kid, someone's huge pet python, oh God, escaped from their house in my neighborhood. Well, maybe it was some other type of snake, but I remember it being a python. I live in Poland, so large snakes are not a common occurrence. But anyway, one night I couldn't sleep, so I was just lying in my bed trying to fall into the arms of Morpheus, so to speak. And suddenly, I heard a loud hissing from behind the window. Very loud. I was about 6 or 7 at the time, so I was too scared to even look out the window. However, I was sure that it was the escaped snake. I was terrified, thinking it would climb into the house and get me while I was asleep and unaware. That's the whole story. Okay. So hissing, maybe. I mean, snakes can hiss. It's more of a breathing, but that was by Psychological Mode 41. Yeah, I don't know how big the python was, but Lord knows they can get huge. All right, number 34 is the godmother. My godmother's friend, who I'll refer to as Jim, had a son about 10 years ago. Jim's father crossed over the Rainbow Bridge about a year before the son was born. And the family always kept a picture of him on top of their TV in the living room. Jim's son, Timmy, looked at the picture frequently, but never asked who the man was. One day, Jim was on the second floor of this house, while Timmy, who was 3 or 4 years old at the time, was in the backyard on the patio near the family's in-ground pool. Ooh. Jim told Jimmy never go to the pool when he was alone, so Tim wasn't worried. Unfortunately, Jim suddenly heard a splash. Panicked, he raced down the stairs, and just as he reaches the first floor, he hears the splashing stop. Fearing the worst, Jim steps out onto the patio, and surprisingly, Timmy was standing there soaked but unharmed. Jim grabbed his son and dried him off and asked what had happened. And Timmy replied simply by saying, "I fell in the water, but the man on the TV saved me." The man on top of the TV saved me. Wow. Grandpa showed up. That's really cool. See, those kind of interventions are awesome and wonderful. The only thing I wonder, and this is just me, folks, so this is just me pondering, but why doesn't every grandparent come in and save their grandchildren if they've passed on? Why don't they all step in and make themselves helpful? You know, because I'm a parent, and about the most painful thing that I could imagine, and thank God, I've never had it happen to me. But the most painful thing I could contemplate would be to lose one of my children. You know, I have 3 beautiful children, and the idea of losing one of them would break me. I mean, it would just break me. And I, you know, I know that everything has a reason, and there's some things we just don't understand. But it's hard to fathom that. It's just hard to fathom, you know. I'm glad it happened for this person, you know, that's this father figure had appeared, scooped the little child out of the water and saved him. But, man, why not everyone? I don't know. I guess because it's not a perfect world. It's not a perfect world. But, yeah, what a tragedy. I'm glad it was averted. Number 35, who was that written by? Oh, PPPWNZ. I'm not even sure how to pronounce anything like that, but puff, puff, pass, wins. Is that what it means? Puff, puff, pass, wins. I don't know. All right. 2 for 1, number 35. At the end of last year, just before Christmas vacation, I left work around 3 p.m. instead of the usual 5 p.m. I started to drive home, and the plan was I'd get home, mow the lawn. I live in Australia, and I promised to get that done for my housemates. Clean up, drive the 3 hours to Sydney, to my parents' place to get there somewhere after dinner Friday night. It should have gone like this: 3 p.m. leave work, 3:50 arrive home, and start mowing. 4:30 p.m. shower, clean up, drive off. 5 p.m. leave for Mom's in Sydney. 8:30 p.m. arrive at Mom's. And what happened instead was I drove home, rushed through to start the lawnmower, like I'd promised my flatmates, but I got back inside, stripped off, got in the shower. When I woke up, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was revived in my parents' shower 3 hours away. Apparently, I'd arrived at my mom's house before she could come home, mowed the lawn there, got in the shower, and passed out from a touch of heat exhaustion. My mom came home and found my car in the driveway, the grass mown, and me in the shower a bit too long before she checked if I was okay. The thing is, she woke me in the shower at her house a little after 6 p.m. on Friday. Even if I'd driven breaking every speed limit for the 250 kilometers from work directly to her house, I couldn't have reached there much before 6:30 p.m., let alone drive, arrive, mow the lawn there, and shower. The distance isn't quite 3.5 hours worth, but it's a tight winding city mountain drive, city speed limits for a good third of it. The next morning I checked with my housemates, and the lawn there had indeed been mown by the time one of them had arrived home after finishing work at 5. And my grass-covered work clothes were in the corner of the bathroom. I remember mowing the lawn there. I remember stripping off to get in the shower, but I don't remember showering, driving, or mowing the Sydney lawn. I'd left work clothes with grass clippings in the bathroom at my place, but in Mom's shower, it was a fresh change of clothes, and I don't remember getting into covered in grass clippings. Wow. That's crazy. That was by Mo Porta. Mo Porta. That's really, really strange. I tell you, again, it's some kind of time-space anomaly, right? I don't know how you make sense of that, but it's, stories like that honestly make me think maybe this is really a simulation. Maybe this is like just some kind of glitch in the Matrix kind of thing. How do you rationalize that? Both lawns were mowed. He had clothes in one place full of grass clippings and had other clothes, and his car was there at his mom's house. So I don't understand that. I don't know if it's possible to understand that with our understanding of physics and science and stuff, but That's plenty weird. Maybe it is a simulation, folks. Maybe it really is. Number 36, Rescue Me. I once had a weird dream where I was driving home and listening to some oldies. It was raining a bit and the wind was quite heavy. After a while, I saw a heavily damaged car on the left side of the road. The driver must have hit a tree. Well, I stopped my car to call the ambulance and look for the driver. It was a woman in her mid-20s with short curled blonde hair. She was unconscious and there was some blood, but she wasn't breathing, so I dragged her out of the car to give her first aid, and after a while I heard the sirens of the ambulance. I shortly looked in the direction of where the ambulance was coming, and then back to the woman. She suddenly had her eyes open wide open, and a look of total terror on her face. The dream ended there. Some weeks ago, we celebrated my 25th birthday. I got some awesome presents, but one was very special. My uncle made a photo collage of my family. He found them in an old box, as he mentioned. I already had some of the shots, so I decided to put it in the corner of my room with the other presents. And when I was about to leave the room, the collage fell over, so I turned back to arrange it properly. While doing it, I glanced over the photos. I've never seen old pictures of my parents before, so it was quite curious after all. There was a wedding photo of my parents. I recognized my dad. He looked really sharp in his suit. Next to him was a lady. She was gorgeous and pregnant. It looked like she had some wounds and or scars on her left arm and at her neck. And then it all kicked in. She was the woman I dragged out of the car to give first aid. My whole body trembled. I immediately ran to my dad to ask what happened back then. He told me she had a car accident 25 years ago. When the ambulance and law enforcement arrived, she was laying on the street, and a man was running away from her body. The doctor told my dad if my mother hadn't received first aid in that situation, she may have lost her unborn child because of lack of oxygen. I was still trembling at this moment, and I couldn't get a single word out of my mouth after some time. I just went back to my party guests, but I didn't feel like celebrating anymore. It was all so weird. Wow. I love these stories, and granted, ladies and gentlemen, we can't know. That was by Goonzoo. Submitted that one to the Reddit file, but is it true? I don't know. Does it sound plausible? Well, we've certainly covered other just as strange things on the show, so I think anything's possible. That is really bizarre. We just covered a story, God, not too long ago. And then I think I almost reread it on the show, but and Don caught that. But basically it was this, I think it was a guy. Maybe it was a woman. Maybe it was a woman. Yeah, it was a woman. And she was walking along this property. And it was like she suddenly, she was all alone on this property, and it was kind of around woods, and there was a path and stuff, and she's walking. And suddenly out of the bushes comes a dog. And the dog looked at her real weird and kind of didn't know what to do, and then shot off, and then out came this younger version, or a younger person, like a teenager. And it was the woman's property. No, how did this go? It was a real mind twister, but basically she saw a younger version of herself. Okay, how does this go? Was it the younger person that saw? Oh, yeah. It was the younger person that was running around her parents' property. I'm sorry, I screwed it all up. Let me start over. It was a younger person screwing around on her parents' property, and her dog bolted away, just suddenly was gone. And she's like, ah. And so she ran after it. And as she went through this bushes onto the main path that goes through there, she looked, and there was this woman that looked familiar, but she couldn't figure out why. And then she was like, what's going on? And she ended up taking off after the dog, but it was weird. She didn't expect to see anybody else there. And she ended up going home and saying to her dad, someone's on our property. It's this woman back there walking around. And the parents got mad at her, thought she was just being a mischievous kid, and apparently grounded her, or at least punished her. And it was years later as an adult she had the property, or was visiting her parents and decided to go for a walk back on the property, and walked on that path, and bursting out of the bushes was this young version of herself chasing the dog, her old dog. And it's like, wow. Brent, your thoughts on deja vu? Science tells us it's just the mind rebooting. I don't know. I certainly think it's possible there's some psychological faculties to some of this, and maybe there's psychological quirks of the mind that can create false deja vu. But I don't know. Is it possible that it really is deja vu? Here's the thing: of all of our sciences, the science of psychology really is about the youngest one out there. In our main category of sciences, of course, like quantum physics is much newer, and certain computer technology sciences and stuff, and electrical engineering is probably newer. But psychology is it's a hard science, because there can be issues with brain chemistry and stuff that can cause people to hallucinate. Here's the thing that I run into when it comes to, like, even the situations of mental illness and stuff like that. It's like, is it possible that there is a physical side effect, a measurable side effect for paranormal experiences in what it does to the brain, in what it does to the person experiencing it? Now, could those measurable side effects of paranormal incidents be confused as a chemical imbalance and treated from a person trying to understand what the hell just happened and being convinced that maybe they're psychotic or have some kind of mental breakdown, and they need to be seen and treated with these other chemicals to try to balance everything back out? And so, how many people are receiving, psychiatric treatment and, medicinal, pharmacological treatments just because they are exhibiting the symptoms of what happened when they actually experienced the paranormal? So in other words, like, okay, for instance, possession. A lot of psychiatrists, psychologists would not ever agree that there could be such a thing as possession. But what if indeed there is? And I certainly believe there is. And so is it possible that having a different energy vibration within you, which is not your energy that formed this body, like, I think our bodies are absolutely perfectly tuned to our spirit. And because that we manifest them through our growth and through our development, they are perfectly tuned to our resonance, to our imprint energetically. And that's maybe what we understand as, the chemical balances and all that stuff. So if some other energy comes into that, wouldn't that alter the physiology of the body? Could it have, by having a different energetic vibration, could that change things like brain chemistry and the way the neurons are firing in your brain and cause imbalances and problems that may be perceived as psychological issues or psychiatric issues? And so this is me just thinking out loud, but this is something I've really wrestled with. And I wonder how many people are sitting have sat in asylums that were just, dealing with an attachment, dealing with something latching onto them and causing them problems. But, our modern sciences don't address this kind of stuff. They just don't deal with it. They just, in many cases, our modern medical answer is to throw a pill at it. Something's wrong. Let's try this one. No, let's try the next one. Maybe 2 of these and 1 of these. And so, I don't know. Just my thoughts, and I'm no doctor. I'm no medical professional. There's so much I don't understand about any of this, but I know that's, people for time immemorial have believed in spiritual presences and problems and good spirits, bad spirits, demons, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't matter what terminology you use. So the point is that we've always had a definition for this kind of stuff. So maybe it has a physiological reaction when we come in contact with these things, and maybe that's what we understand to be psychological issues in some cases. Now, I don't doubt that there's genuinely people that are just dealing with a lot of I don't know, like a genetic roll of the dice, like, oh, they've got clinical depression. Well, it could very well be, a chemical issue, and maybe it can be corrected that way. but it could be something else. I don't know. Just thinking aloud. Again, I'm just spitballing ideas. I don't know what you guys think of that, but that's, I don't know. Send us your stories. Absolutely. We love getting stories, Julia. You're right. All right. So, High Port Holios. It's weirdos. We're weirdos, G. Oh, jeez. All right. When I was in nursing school in psych clinicals, I got the idea that the people said to be psychologically impaired were opening up to the paranormal and just couldn't handle it. I agree completely. Of course, think of the movie The Sixth Sense. A lot of kids that have this incredible experiences of seeing spirits and terrifying experiences have to deal with that. And of course, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to tell people that you trust, like your parents. What do parents do with that? If they don't have a spiritual understanding or belief, well, they're going to think something's wrong with your kid, so you bring them to a doctor. What's a doctor going to do? Well, they're going to throw meds at you, and they're going to throw treatment plans at you, because that's our understanding, is it's a very physical thing in our medical sciences. But I agree completely, Ghost Magnet. I think you're right on it. I don't know, just some thoughts. But anyway, if you guys agree with that, cool. If you don't agree with it, that's cool too. The one thing that's, I always want the portal to be perceived as, it's a place to discuss ideas. Now, I don't agree with everything, guests or, other people have said on the show. I don't, but that doesn't mean I don't listen. I think that it's great to have a dialogue, great to have a discussion, and I'm going to just throw out my feelings. So I hope that works out. All right, number 37, mixed messages. I'm a newlywed. We've been married less than a month. Wait, what happened? Like The Matrix, too. Yeah, exactly. Could be. That's another weird one, right? It goes, the rabbit hole goes so deep if you start diving down it. And here's the weird part. It's all real. It's probably all real, because we shape our experience. So if we believe that we're in a matrix, we're in a matrix. If we believe we're in a construct of some kind, we're in a construct. Whatever we believe in, it becomes our reality, becomes our experience, becomes our knowledge, our gnosis. And so it's done unto you as you believe, is what Jesus said once. I think he might be right. All right, mixed messages. I'm a newlywed. We've been married less than a month when I woke up at 5:30 a.m. next to my husband's sleeping form and saw a notification on my phone, and it was a text from him. He's in my phone under Sam Hart, and it was sent at midnight. And it said, "Who is this?" No, I was pretty sure that Sam had been stretched out next to me, snoring away at midnight. I'm a light sleeper, and it's likely I would have woken if he'd gotten out of bed or turned on his phone. Still, stranger things have happened, and I figured he was playing a weird joke on me or something. Well, I decided to play along, so I wrote back, "Who's this?" Seconds later, I got a reply that sent chills down my spine, and it said, "I asked you first." I could feel Sam pressed against my right side, warm and breathing regularly. I looked at his nightstand and confirmed his phone was still there, dark and silent. Me. Seriously, who is this? Why are you coming up on my phone under one of my contact names? And what name am I under? Me. Obviously, there's some crossed wires somewhere. We don't know each other. Sam Hart. Are you in town? And it's the town I live in. Me. Yes. Are you? Sam Hart. Yes. Me. Okay. There you go. Wires are crossed. It's weird, but I'm sure it happens. Sam Hart says, we must live near each other. What street are you on? Don't answer. I'm trying to change the subject because I definitely do not want to tell this person the street I'm on. So I ask, do I come up on your phone under someone else's name? Sam Hart says, I was looking through my contacts and saw one I didn't remember creating under the name Wi-Fi with a heart built like this next to it. And laugh out loud. I was just curious who this is. I live on Violet Street, by the way. I went cold. My husband's nickname for me is Wi-Fi, but pronounces it wifey. It's a silly inside joke. No one knows about it but us, or so I had thought. And that's not the worst part. We live on Violet Street also. Also, we both make little hearts next to each other's name. And something about this person's writing style was so familiar. I confirmed that my husband was still slumbering next to me. His phone was still on the nightstand. Someone was messing with me. I turned my phone off, got up, and got ready for work. Later that morning, I showed the text to Sam, who was completely baffled. His phone had no messages on it, and he texted me to test things out, and his message, hi, popped up right underneath the last message the other Sam had sent to me. I assumed it was someone playing a joke on me, or maybe it really was some technical glitch. As the days have passed, I keep thinking, what if that was Sam? A Sam in an alternate reality where we never met. My husband and I have texted each other since then with no problems. I tried to put the incident out of my head, but yesterday I started scrolling up to find the messages, and they're gone. I did not delete them. They're just gone. If this is another Sam in a different reality, am I there too? If I ever hear from him again, should I tell him to find me? I love him so much. I want all his versions to be happy. That was from Unta Masto. That's weird. I don't know. So for me, the first thing I'm thinking is, somebody cloned her husband's phone. Somebody must have got a hold of the SIM card and cloned it. They're trying to figure out exactly where they live. I don't know. That would be my first guess. It is curious to ponder, though. What if it is a communication from someone else? Paranormal, like the Matrix 2, Rachel gets it right. Human energy may be residual on objects like beds, doorknobs, unlike other parts of a house. So spirits are attracted to these objects and rattle them like active possession. Could be. That could very well be. I think that, we leave an imprint wherever we are. And here's the thing, and this is scientifically proven as well, but we think we're confined in these bodies, but it's been shown that our energy field extends well outside of our bodies. So wherever you are, you're leaving an energetic imprint. You are possibly leaving, I don't know, like a charge on an area. The longer you're in an area, the more charge you leave. And so it's why sometimes you go into a house and you feel it may be an empty house, like the people that live there moved or sold the house or whatever. But you go into a house and it's absolutely empty, but it's like, I love this house. It's such a warm, wonderful place. And you can assume, I would think, that the people that lived there were very warm and loving and left such a wonderful imprint around you. And then you go into some places and it's like, I don't like this place. This is not a good place. I don't want to be here. And that's probably the imprint that was left behind by those people. Maybe they weren't nice people. Maybe they were jerks, and the kind of people that yell at you to get off their lawn and stuff. And, turn down your radio, you're bugging me. Your lights are in my window, that kind of thing. Some people are just really, contrary and argumentative. So, we always leave imprints wherever we go. So I don't disagree with that. And of course, those imprints can attract their resonant similarities. So I think that there's an old saying, and it's like attracts like. And I think that definitely is true in spiritual talk, that dark people are going to attract dark things to them. Loving people are going to attract loving things to them. And happy people are going to attract happy things to them. Like attracts like, And so, I don't know. I mean, we all certainly have had, all of us, I'm sure, listening to the sound of my voice. You've had periods of your life where everything goes wonderful and things are wonderful. And then you've had periods where things just seem to be going to hell. No matter what you do, it just seems to go to hell for a while. And then maybe it's just okay or whatever. So, I mean, we all resonate differently throughout the course of our lives. But I just think it's important to try to resonate as highly as you can, as often as you can. I mean, we're all human, but yeah, we do leave imprints. You're absolutely right, Rachel. Yes. All right, let's get to the next one. Let me check the time. Good God, it's already 7:43. How did that happen? How did we get to 7:43? It does not seem possible. I hardly know her. I hardly know her. This morning before work, I stopped by a supermarket close to my house to buy some pens and a clipboard. I walked in a rush because I was already late and quickly grabbed the items and made my way to the front. I sat my items on the conveyor belt and looked up. There was no cashier behind the counter. You know that strange feeling you get when you know someone is staring at you or standing too close? I started to feel that way. I turned to my right, and this beautiful woman was standing right beside me, probably late 20s with long brown hair and blue eyes. She wasn't a comfortable arm's length apart. She wasn't a comfortable arm's length apart. She was less than a meter away. Well, some people like to be close. I looked up at her as she smiled at me. You know, the way people look at you when you know them very well, like you know them deeply. That is the look this woman was giving me. Did you call for help yet? Do they know we were just standing here? She said like we were more than acquainted, and I just stared at her. The way she said that, combined with the way she looked at me, made me feel so uneasy, like we had come here together, though I'd never seen her in my life. No, not yet, I replied to her. She walked around the side of the counter and looked into the manager's office that was behind the end of the registers. The cashier came out of the back room and apologized for the wait. I only half heard what she said because I watched the woman come around the counter, smiling a beautiful toothy grin and looking at me the whole time. I got her, the smiling woman said in a playful tone before bouncing right back next to me, close enough that I crossed my arms to keep our hands from touching, close enough that I could smell her hair. I looked up the clerk and realized that this wasn't strange to her, but that she definitely thought we were together. You doing okay today? Said the cashier. The woman beside me bounced back to one of those candy racks they have by the register and said, "Oh yeah, I needed gum, remember?" I just stared at her as she put the gum on my clipboard and came to rest close to me. I backed away and looked at her. My face had to be as confused as it ever has been. She looked at me, smiling still, and then stopped. "What?" she said. I looked down at the gum on my clipboard and back up to her again. "What?" she said again, this time with worry in her voice. I looked at the cashier, who was confused, and then back at the woman, who was now looking down at the gum with no expression on her face. She looked back up at me, and this time, she looked at me like you would expect from someone you had never met in a grocery store. The smile gone from her voice, she said, "Sorry." She took a few steps back, and I quickly ran my card through and grabbed my bag from the corral. I turned back to the woman, who looked lost and confused. I walked back to my car, the experience still fresh in my mind, and instead of leaving, I waited, hoping there would be an answer walking out of those doors. Maybe she had a husband, boyfriend, significant other who has a long beard and blue eyes as I do. Maybe she embarrassingly mistook me for that man. I waited for a lot longer than it should have taken her to ring up the gum that she had grabbed. Well, finally she emerged with the gum in hand and an expressionless look on her face, all alone. She got in her orange Kia Soul with a Hello Kitty plushie hanging from the mirror and drove away. I took off to work, and that quickly consumed my thought process. On the way home a few minutes ago, I remembered my dog was out of food. I pulled into the same supermarket and grabbed a bag. I got to the register, and the same cashier came to the till. "You're back again, I see," she said, "and without the girl this time." I said, "Yeah, did you notice that woman? I don't know her at all. She was acting so weird." The woman kind of half smirks, and she gives me the receipt. "To be honest," she said, "I thought you were being a jerk." I looked confused at her again. "What do you mean?" "I was watching the camera earlier when you guys came in together. There was a man in the same aisle as you two walked to, who I thought was putting printer cartridges in his backpack. I watched you two look at the pens for a second and then walk to the register, but I didn't come out because I was sure that guy was stealing ink. Never found out because that girl came and got me." "What do you mean came in together?" I said. "She walked in with you, stood behind you while you grabbed your pens, and walked with you to the register. Then you acted as if you had never met her." Goosebumps, my friends. That chill took over me like a freaking breeze from a deep freezer. Ma'am, I said, I've never met that woman in my life. At 31 years old, I can say definitively that this is the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me. And that was to Brad So Sad. What if he's already married? Maybe he missed out. Maybe that was fate. Bringing her right to your world. That's too bad. I don't know. What do you make of that one? Huh? That's what I'm thinking. A little Twilight-y zoned, I think. But anyway. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll do the trail cam terrors. All right, this is number 39, Between a Rock and a Hard Place. I want to rock. Thank you. Sorry. All right, let's see what what Between a Rock and a Hard Place is. I think I was around 12 or 14 at the time, and I went on a camping trip with my parents. They were in one tent, and I was in another. One morning, I woke up and exited the tent. My parents were up at this point and told me something along the lines of, "You're not sly." I was confused and asked what they meant. They motioned towards the small pile of rocks sitting in front of the tent. They had assumed I stacked the rocks during the night to try to scare them, like what happened in the Blair Witch Project. But I had no idea where the rocks came and swore up and down, even to this day, that I didn't do it. But they don't believe me at all. It was kind of my own fault, since I'm always doing something to mess with them, but this time, I really didn't. Wonder if it's a squatch. I'm thinking it was a squatch, folks. Maybe. I don't know. What else stacks rocks? Aren't they pretty well known for rock stacking? Just saying. All right. That was that one. Number 40. I'm going to read this one because that one was so quick. This one's pretty long, so we'll read this one and then we'll be done. All the Lonely People. Who submitted that one? Cool for any nose job? Cock? Sorry. I get it. Okay. All right. It has to do with controlled substances. Never mind. I'm like, oops. I don't want to read that one out loud. All right. 40. All the Lonely People. Growing up, I always wanted to go on a bike ride at night. Something about it just seemed really cool to me. It wasn't until I was 13 my mom finally let me. She told me to wear my helmet and to take my phone and flashlight and follow the parameters she had set for me where I was allowed to go. She gave me about 4 miles, which is a lot to me. So right after the sun had set, I was off. I loved it. I rode along this path for 10 minutes before the only thing I could see was some of the lights from the houses on the inside of the limits. After 15 minutes of riding along this dirt path, I suddenly hear singing. It sounded like it was just a few feet in front of me. I stopped riding to hear it better, and it was a woman's voice. She was singing Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, but she wasn't singing the words, just the melody. Her voice was strange. You know how when you have phlegm in your throat, your voice gets kind of scratchy? Yeah, I'm familiar with it. And that's where her voice sounded like. I inch forward to try and see her. I get close enough to see the silhouette of her, hair bouncing up and down like she was headbanging. I decided to get my flashlight out, and I'm thinking that maybe this person is in need of help or something. Or maybe this is an insane person and the light will scare them away. So I take the flashlight out of my pocket and point it at her and turn it on. The moment the light hit her, she stopped moving completely. She was facing away from me. She had disgusting hair that seemed to be sticking together in clumps. Some of her hair was ripped off, too. She was wearing a very oversized bright red hoodie. I was almost too scared to move, and I think she was too. And I conjured up as much bravery as I could and said, sorry, in a very oops, this is the wrong room kind of thing. And she didn't respond. I turned off the flashlight and put it back in my pocket, and just as I was turning my bike around, she screamed. She screamed in an awful, horrifying, high-pitched voice. I nearly pooped myself as I threw myself back onto my bike. I heard her voice getting closer to me. I booked it as fast as I could, and I didn't once look back behind me, and I didn't stop pedaling. Her screaming eventually grew quieter and quieter until it dissolved into the howling of the wind. That was my average doorknob. That's creepy. I don't know. Generally, that's not a good thing. What was I thinking about? Oh, there was one thing else I wanted to do, but I'll do it after we get to the trail cam terrors. I got an announcement that many of you may want to hear. So please don't leave early, because I got an announcement to make after the trail cam terrors. So please just stick around. All right, folks. And this brings up our nightly journey on the night terrors into the darkness of the trail cams. All right, folks, let me find my mouse. Where the hell did it disappear to? There it is. Okay, I found my mouse. Welcome to Trail Cam Terrors. And tonight, we're going to look at a video. I'm going to see how big I can make it. I'm going to look at a video, but it's a video of Rascal Flatts drummer ignites a paranormal debate after posting a creepy orb video. Is that not the video? Oh, okay, the video itself is below. Let me put it on screen for you guys so you can see it. But here's the article in question. It comes from the CharlotteObserver.com, and it's from National News, and it's from February 5th of 2021. And I guess the guy's name must be Jim Riley. He says, "This is freaky. My Ring motion camera has been going off all night, even before dark. What the heck is this? When I turn on the light, there's nothing in there. What is this?" All right. Question mark, question mark. Well, let's check it out. Here's the video in question. I don't know if I'll be able to blow it up or not, but I'll try. It looks like a YouTube link, so we'll see. Again, this is the Charlotte Observer posted this, so we're going to check it out. Maybe I should read it. It says, bugs are often cited as the cause when mysterious blurs and spots appear on security footage. But a Tennessee-based musician says his motion sensors picked up something not so easily explained. Jim Riley, the drummer for country trio Rascal Flatts, shared the Ring.com footage Thursday on Facebook and quickly ignited talk of paranormal activity and ghost orbs. The 12-minute video shows an elliptical white spot bouncing erratically around the room in his Nashville home. Riley wrote he had hours and hours of footage showing the orb. "This is freaky," Riley posted. "My Ring motion camera's been going off all night, even before dark. What in the heck is this? When I turn on the light, there's nothing in there." Riley, who is also an adjunct professor at Belmont University, has nearly 16,000 followers on Facebook, and many have weighed in since Thursday. Some offered jokes, Tinkerbell, while others tried to find sensible explanation. A moth, a spiderweb, someone shining a light in the house. It's 100% not a bug, Riley posted. "Trust me, I have a video of my wife walking in the room and it disappears. Not a bug. Happened at dusk and all night." Riley said he also got up to investigate, switching on the lights in the process, and found no sign of a bug, moth, or spiderweb. He said his plan was to see if the orb reappeared Friday night and then investigate further. Some commenters suggested the object was spiritual in nature, including a man who said he'd experienced something similar in his home. There's that one. Okay. "It's been happening more lately. It's a spirit, most likely," he wrote. "Last time I saw something like this was on Ghost Adventures. It's technically called an orb, according to those people that believe in them," another said. The website Ghosts and Graves says, "Orbs are probably the most photographed type of anomaly." I don't agree, but I think people capture anomalies and think they're orbs, but I think true orbs are very rarely captured. "It is believed that orbs are the soul of a human or even an animal that has died and is traveling around from one place to another," the site says. "The circular shape is the first state they appear in before they become a full-bodied apparition. If you're lucky enough to capture an orb on video, you'll be amazed how fast they can move." All right, let's check it out. Let's see. I hope I can blow it up. Yep, it looks like it'll blow up. No more sound. That is peculiar. It's hard to say what it is, huh? It does go up and down, so I don't think it's just a spiderwebby thing, unless it's being, like the corner of the room where the camera is, might have a bit of a vortex of air currents circulating. You challenge me. Why? I haven't done Sean Connery in ages. I haven't really done it for a long time. I'm not quite sure. That's what your mother said last night. How's that? I don't know what this is. I'm not quite sure. It is an anomaly. It could be, I guess it could be spiritual. The up and down motion, the side to side, the back and forth, you can tell it moves further away, it comes closer. It is very unusual, even for like a spider web. A spider web really has a pendulum kind of effect. You can usually, even though you can't see the whole web, you can usually see a pendulum kind of coming, and holding it in motion, and you get these arcs when it's a spider web. You get real pronounced arcs just back and forth. And I think a lot of these videos are that or something very similar. This is doing circles. It's going up and down, side to side. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's something close to the camera. I don't think it's all that far away. It could, it literally, the other odd part is this. It's like there's always something below it and always something above it. If this shine moved up and down the body of it, like it was down here towards the end and then it was up here towards the top, I'd say maybe it's some kind of hair, or something that's close to the lens. And as it's flexing and moving, could it be exhibiting the light? But the light does seem to be traveling. In that case where it was just up here, it really did look like a spider web. I don't know. That is strange. Because it does have a something above it, something below it. Right there, it was really long. Maybe it really is. The more I watch it, the more I think it's possible. And maybe the spider is right above it, doing something to the web. Like, spiders will constantly be making webs and cutting old webs down. Because if they're not sticky, they're no good to the spider, because bugs and stuff will just bounce right off of it. But I don't know. It could be something more paranormal. It could be just something silly like a spider web. It's really kind of an ambiguous anomaly. It could just be a spider web with a little gnat attached to it that's trying to get away. You don't know. If it's close enough to the camera, it should take on that translucent effect, because anything close to the lens will appear translucent. In fact, if you're ever doing a photograph, like through a chain link fence, but you can't get around the chain link fence, you put your lens right up to the fence and take the picture. And since it's so close to the camera, that the link fence itself will disappear. But I don't know. That is curious. That right there does, it does look like it goes down even further below, because this part, the lower part of it seems to trail behind like it's flexing sometimes, but then other times it seems very rigid. I don't know. I really don't have a conclusion, folks. It's very weird, very strange. But that is tonight's Trail Cam Terror. And again, it came from the Charlotte Observer. So I think that was the Charlotte Observer. Wasn't that it? It was the Charlotte Observer. I remember correctly. Okay. So that's tonight's Trail Cam Terror. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found that wildly entertaining. At least curious. It's very curious. And it may be paranormal. I can't say it's not. It's just, it doesn't look like an orb. It looks like it's longer. It looks like it's much longer. But I don't know if it's long enough to go off of the frame. It's really not doing a pendulum thing. Let's blow this up because it's kind of sitting still now. You can see it a little better. It really does have a thread kind of appearance though, doesn't it? It also stays in the lens frame. Yeah, for the most part it does. It's gone below and above it. Below anyway, not above though, I don't think. It never went above it. So yeah, it could just be a strand of... And so now you see how steady it is. If he's got any kind of ventilating, like let's say he's got central air. Looks like it's summertime, so he might have central air. And if he does, when that air kicks on, it's going to create a lot of turbulence. Once that air kicks off, it's all going to slow down, and now it's very gradual. Now it's just swaying very lightly. And even if you see like wispy trails on it, that isn't necessarily like a spiritual thing. It's just the sensors on these things are not video cameras. They are not like videos like you take, handheld cameras to capture a movie. They are just meant to capture enough of an identification that it can be used maybe to prosecute somebody or for insurance purposes or whatever. So these are not high quality cameras meant to capture, cinema quality video. They're a very slow sensor that's meant to capture enough that it can help police determine what happened, or it can help, for any kind of emergencies. So now it's pretty much stationary. And that leads me to believe it's probably more of some kind of spider web. But there you have it, folks. That's the Trail Cam Terrors tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found that entertaining. So, I don't know. All right, folks, now time for the announcement. Brent, thanks for the overtime. Oh, yeah, I don't mind going a little over. It's just, sometimes we end up on time, sometimes we don't. All right, I got an announcement to make, so let me pull up what the announcement is first. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. Let me pull it up. This is coming from our friends at Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC, and here it is. Let me open this up. Okay. I'm going to pull it over here. Now, what's going on, folks, is they are doing a feature-length Bigfoot movie, not a documentary. Most often, Extreme Expeditions has done documentaries where they're out researching and stuff. But this is a casting call. And it says they're looking for people to take roles in the movie. It says, we're conducting a casting call specifically to fill 6 roles in the film for the team of ex-military guns for hire who come to the rescue of the beleaguered team of Bigfoot researchers. Specifically looking for active or retired combat MOs, veterans who are at minimal airborne or air assault qualified. You'll be required to conduct a dramatic helicopter insertion into a simulated hostile situation with a significant potential for loss of life. Film synopsis: an experienced team of Bigfoot researchers encounter a tribe of vicious Sasquatch while on an investigation and seek refuge in an abandoned military facility. In dire need of rescue, with authorities unable to respond, the only hope of rescue comes down to a motley crew of ex-military vets from Spokane Valley, Washington, who come to their aid. So it leaves you the list. If you want more information or if you want to reach out to them, by all means, do so. For consideration, please email photo and bio to info@exnorthwest.com. Okay, so info@exnorthwest.com. If you're interested, if you qualify, send them a picture, your bio, and you could be considered to be part of the film. I might be in it too, just saying. But that's what's on the plate, folks. So if you know somebody that might fit that criteria, by all means, get in touch with them, and you can find the posting itself on Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC. So there you have it, folks. I hope you guys get involved with that. That should be pretty cool. But anyway, that's all I got for you. Hope you guys had a good time. Thank you all for being here with me as we go through the Paranormal Portal. I never did put that on screen, did I? Did I? Here's the posting. This is on Extreme Expeditions Northwest LLC. I never put it on screen. Derp. But here it is. Again, here's all the information. I hope you guys can see that. Let me pull up my OBS to see. Yeah, it's all there. So pause the video, read it carefully. If it's something you might be interested in checking out or know somebody who could, then do it. Do it. All right, folks. That's what I got for you tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the journey. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. And that's it. Good night, everybody.